the devil, they see, they not see what they get. Flawless, 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 flawless.
Hi, I'm Brooke Esselin,
I'm Troy Mengesha.
and welcome to
Writing 101 Tips and Tricks.
We're going to start off our show with project number 1.
Project 1 is called MSU Artifact and Learning Narrative. For our first project, the main objective was to explore and choose an MSU artifact that we considered important to build a culture and relation to campus. Therefore, it was key to use reliable sources, not only to obtain the information, but to be able to relate to it in a deeper way with the artifact, which was a very enriching experience. The main part was creating a group project where we would talk about what we learned in a creative way. Each group wrote a dialogue where the artifact was evident, and communicated details with examples that impacted us within its background. Finally, everyone reflected on their own opinion and how this project taught us certain things as well as skills.
Another part was that it was very interesting and informative being able to walk around the campus that I was new to and find new and exciting spots that I have not yet seen. Being able to research them really gives you a better understanding of the school you're going to be at for the months you are here for. Another thing very important is working and communicating effectively with your group you are in, because they are your biggest asset when it comes to this project, and being able to communicate with them will save you a lot of headaches in the future.
This project gave us a lot of freedom in what we could explore on campus and also with our writing abilities. Project 1 definitely set the precedent for how this class was going to be, because it gave us a lot of creative freedom in how you could execute all of your writing pieces. Some artifacts could have been silly, some could have been more serious. For example, some artifacts that were used were the Magic Johnson statue, Mayo Hall, or the Breslin Student Center. There are a lot of ways to differentiate yourself from others in this class, and the first project shows how you can really express yourself in any way.
Wow, Tyshawn, Anna, Michael, and Maddie, that was some amazing info on Project 1. I remember my first artifact. Bet you guys didn't know statues were made out of bronze. Up next is Project 2.
Thanks, Troy, and welcome back to the Nathan Hicks Show. Today I have 4 guesses. How do you 4 know each other?
We were assigned peer reviews for Project 2. I almost missed it, but Buzz reminded me of the deadline.
Yep, honestly, my advice will be to keep up with your deadline by regularly checking D2L, especially because it will sneak up on you if you're not aware.
Thanks, Buzz, for buzzing in. Now, what is Project 2?
Project 2 is focused on literary development in our career fields, particularly in this case through an interview with someone within our field as well as building a resume. I'd recommend that on top of just completing things and getting to the interview, you should also keep track of the email chains you use with your interviewee itself, because those are actually great for developing your own literary practices.
I bet our audience at Bessie is excited for that. But that begs the question, how do you recommend finding an interviewee?
Try to take advantage of resources available to you, such as LinkedIn, and if you're still having difficulty, you could ask Dr. Oscar.
I know I've texted her once or twice with last-minute questions. What about you guys? Did you ever get stuck on part of your project? What resources helped you out of that block?
To me, I thought that the ONET was the most influential because it had all the information that I needed about my career. Also, that I felt was most influential was the MSU handbook, because it had a step-by-step guide about a resume. So I used my old resume and I meshed it with the guide and got some helpful recommendations, and now my resume is really solid.
Sounds pretty useful. Now, what is your field of study? How did you narrow down your interest to find a suitable interviewee?
My field of study is computer science, and I was able to narrow my interest pretty easily because my dad pursued the same field of study, and I was able to network through him and find a candidate for it.
How should one lead the conversation throughout the interview process? What should the questions be like?
It's important for you to go in with a bulleted list in order to discuss with your interviewee, but if you find yourself going off topic, like on a long tangent about this, that, or another thing, don't be immediately afraid. A lot of the things they will talk about are things that you yourself cannot think of as someone outside of the field. Therefore, it's great for your paper.
Thanks, Michael. What should you avoid going into Project 2?
One thing you should avoid working on Project 2 is going a bit far off of your topic, especially when you focus more on the technical aspect of your career rather than going on in-depth on what you're supposed to do. However, don't get me wrong, having a detailed description of the major you are mentioning on your piece should be your starting foundation that you should be building on that foundation. Leading up to this, you should always refer back to the rubric and should pause your writing immediately when you slightly go off what is actually requiring the rubric. Like whatever work you put that doesn't follow the rubric, basically go to waste. Or what I say, wasting your time.
Thanks, Buzz. Now, back to you, Brooke.
Amazing advice, you guys. Now let's roll right into project number 3.
Had to take a turn and said I took a crime. I'm insane, yeah. I came with a blink, I did about a 5.
Group members who are going to work well with, because that's important, and how you collaborate with your team as a whole. You should choose a topic that you're comfortable with, obviously. I mean, you don't want to choose something you don't want to talk about. So my advice would be to make a group chat, because that's a good way to communicate nowadays. You know, people on their phones all the time. So yeah, that's a good way. Make sure you read the rubric, because it'll tell you when the due date is, so you want to meet deadlines for that. Make sure you're paying attention. Don't screw around in your group, because that's not ethical, so we don't want that. Make sure you talk about the process of your remix, because it is important to know what you're talking about, or else people are going to be like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Well, you got to know. So, and then keep nice with your group, and remember, no judgment here. Everything's on the table, so everything's good. So that's all we have to say about our group. So thanks.
Holy moly macaroni, what amazing, cool, and perfect advice. Up next, we have Maggie, Thomas, and Isabel to talk about general advice.
Hey everybody, I'm Maggie Francis, and today I'm going to be interviewing Tima, Thomas, and Isabel about how to be successful at MSU and in WRA 101, and I think they have some pretty good stuff. So the first question I have is, what would be your overall advice as a freshman at Michigan State University?
I'm Thomas, and the advice I would give to incoming freshmen is to open yourself up to learning new things. If you only do the bare minimum, you won't learn anything, and you can learn a lot of interesting stuff even in the most seemingly boring classes. You should also go out and leave your comfort zone. Especially if you're an out-of-state student, you should expand your circles and try to meet new people.
My second question is, how do you manage time in WRA 101?
Although the tasks for this class may seem daunting, once you get into the routine of completing them, they are really quite simple. In my opinion, it is best to work on these projects little by little every day, opposed to trying to complete the entire project the night before it's due. Because there can be a lot of writing involved in these projects, being able to manage your time in a way that works for you is really key. It is difficult to write an entire paper in one sitting. So completing small sections at a time and stretching out the entire process over a course of a couple days will not only make it easier for you to complete, but you will have more quality time to turn in because you took your time.
My third and final question is, how can an incoming student excel in WRA 101?
Hello, I am Isabel Hedge. So, how to succeed in writing 101. For one, utilize Dr. Acevedo's office hours. She is a teacher who genuinely wants you to do well in this class. She cares for you as a person, but even more so, she cares for you as a student. If you have issues, you just need to talk to her. She will give you amazing insight. She's there for you. The professor is generally the most important resource you will have in any class, especially this class. Also, check the D2L. Everything you will need is on that D2L. I have learned the hard way that not checking the D2L will bite you in the butt. So, check the D2L, seriously utilize Dr. Acevedo's office hours, and talk to her, and communicate with your peers as well. There'll be a lot of group projects. It can be rough, but when you communicate well with them, it goes really smoothly. Best of luck.
Okay, that was everyone's answers. Love you, bye.
Thank you to all of our amazing classmates for that great advice, and we wish all of you guys the best during your time in Writing 101.
Never stop being creative, smart, energetic, be yourself, and never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Exactly. I'm Troy Mangasha signing off.
And I'm Brooke Esseling.
Didn't see you there.